Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Searchlight Town Advisory Board meeting. No items on the agenda may be taken out of order. The board may combine two or more agenda items for consideration. The board may remove an item from the agenda or delay discussion relating to an item at any time. No action may be taken on any matter not listed on the posted agenda. All planning and zoning matters heard at this meeting are forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners Zoning Commission or the Clark County Planning Commission for final action. Please turn off or mute all cell phones and other electronic devices. Please take all private conversations outside the room. With a 48-hour advance request, a sign language interpreter, or other reasonable efforts to assist and accommodate persons with physical disabilities may be made available by calling the toll-free numbers listed on your agenda. Supporting material provided to the board members for this meeting may be requested from Tammy Harris at 702-298-0828. Supporting material will also be available at the Clark County Department of Administrative Services, 500 South Grand Central Parkway, 6th floor, Las Vegas, Nevada. And supporting material will be available on the county's website at clarkcountynb.gov/searchlight tab. Board members: Kyle Myers, Chairperson; James Allen, Vice Chairperson; Kim Colton, Kayla McGinnis, and Robert Sean. Secretary Tammy Harris, and County Liaison Mark Moskowitz. And it's time I'd like to call the meeting to order. We can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, public comment period. This is a period devoted to comments by the general public. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. We'll do roll call. Kyle Myers here. James Allen.
Here.
Kim Colton.
Here.
Kayla McGinnis.
Here.
And Robert Sean. 4 members present, 1 absent. And now the public comment period, which is devoted to comments by the general public about items on this agenda. No discussion, action, or vote may be taken on this agenda item. You will be afforded the opportunity to speak on individual public hearing items at the time they are presented. If you wish to speak to the board about items within its jurisdiction but not appearing on this agenda, you must wait until the comments by the general public period listed at the end of this agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Please step up to the speaker's podium. If applicable, clearly state your name and address, and please spell your last name for the record. If any member of the board wishes to extend the length of a presentation, this will be done by the chairperson or the board by majority vote. It's open to the floor to the public. Any public comment out there? Alrighty, moving on. Approval of minutes for August 9th, 2023. Has everyone had a chance to review last month's minutes? Yeah. Anyone have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
All right, and a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the minutes for August 9th, 2023. And the approval of the agenda for September 13th, 2023, in whole, combine, or delete any items.
A motion to approve.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, approval of the agenda for September 13th. And moving on to informational items. Item number 1, receive a report and updates from the South County Liaison, Mark Moskowitz, regarding the Searchlight Animal Clinic. New date of Saturday, September 30th, celebrating the 70th anniversary of the wedding capital of the world, and any other updates from Clark County.
Thank you, Chair. So I want to let everyone know, unfortunately, we had to postpone the Searchlight vaccine clinic for the animals. It was right during Hurricane Hillary we had, so we had to make a last-minute decision to do that just to make sure everyone's safe. So apologize if anyone was there. We tried to mobilize and get the news out there, but we did a pretty good job of spreading the word. We were luckily able to schedule it just for a month later, so it'll be later this month, and it'll be Saturday, September 30th from 9 to 11 at the fire station. So there's flyers in the back with the new date. Everything will be the same. I want to thank Kim again for helping us coordinate with the fire department and the Animal Foundation as well. So that'll be good.
I did have a question on that,
Sure.
Mark. So I don't know exactly the date last year, but if you had the shots within 1 year, then the rabies shot you don't have to get for 3 years?
I'm not sure, but I can check. I know last year it was, I want to say it was actually August 26th. For some reason, I remember that date. Don't ask me any other things, but yeah, so.
Within a year, if you
Yep.
could find out what they're gonna do on that
Yeah.
situation there, if they wanna start back over with their 1 year.
Okay, yep, and our goal is to always have it every August is what we're gonna do moving forward, so fortunately got bumped to September due to the storm, so, yep.
Quick question on that also, Mark. Will the foundation be doing anything in regard to neutering or spading?
Not at this event, I know they're working to have like a van that can come out and do more services, such as that, as like the neutering and all that. So that's kind of their next goal to do maybe for the next year, so, but yeah, but I think I can ask them to see if there's any opportunities to be able to maybe go to a local animal hospital around town and maybe get like a voucher or something.
Vouchers or something like that?
Yeah, so we can look at that as well.
Well, that'd be great, thank you.
Yep, perfect. This is a fun item, we always like to do little fun things here. In the back, there's a PowerPoint presentation. I won't go through the whole thing with you, but Clark County designated the month of September as the Wedding Capital of the World month because it's 70 years that they've had marriage licenses. It's really cool, this presentation back there, I suggest you grab one. It has wonderful pictures of all famous weddings. One of the first ones is actually Rex Bell and Clara Bow. That was one of the first that got a wedding license here. So I know that's near and dear to Searchlight, so we're excited to see that. We want to let everyone know, I mean, it's very interesting, there's about 80% of all the marriage licenses are from out-of-town people that come into Clark County in Nevada, so. You're guilty as well, so yes. And I know someone else in the audience presented, let us know yesterday that they came in 19 years ago, that they'll share again with us. But it's a really great thing. I want to let everyone know, we have an office in Laughlin down there every Thursday and Friday from 8 to 5. You can get a marriage license there as well. So you don't have to go to Las Vegas. Generally, there's not very in line at all. We love to see people come in there and then experience Laughlin and the smaller pace of the casino drive. So just exciting news that it's 70 years and we're making it the wedding capital of the world. So the other things I want to mention is National Night Out is going to be on Tuesday, October 3rd. From 5 to 7 at the Searchlight Town Park. Our office will be there. I know Metro will be there. The fire department will be there. There's a flyer back there. So this is a great event. Every year we do it. Please be sure to go there. I know there'll be a lot of fun, food, and activities. So if you have any questions, let us know. Or Officer Jeter might have some answers to it. But they always do a great job. So thank you so much for that. We also have in the back, we have Commissioner Knapp's newsletter. As always, let me know if you'd like to be included on the email distribution list. We're more than happy to add you to that. It has a lot of good information, a lot of good contact information on it as well. So please be sure to pick one of those up. And as always, you can always contact our office with any questions as well. The other two things I just want to mention, I wish everyone a belated happy Labor Day. I know we had a nice time off and everything. And then also, a few days ago, September 11th, I just want to thank all of our first responders and everything for all that they do. I know it's a monumental time in the country of that remembrance, so thank you again to Metro and our fire department and everything that they do for our citizens in our community. So with that, those are all my updates.
Thank you, Mark. Is there any questions out there for South County Liaison Mark Moskowitz? Anything from the board?
Some follow-up, I know I was reading through the minutes of last month, just remind me stuff, I know there's some mention on the schools that you were gonna look into.
Yes, I think about 2 meetings ago, we had a meeting with Patricia Haddich with CCSD. I'm still in contact with her, she's still working through, I know because school kind of kicked off, they've been a little busy, But, I've got another phone call in with her, and I'll get more updates of opportunities and programs and what we can do, and what the community is allowed to do and all that stuff, so I'll keep the board informed as well, and the community.
There's a lot of considerations, obviously, for
Yeah, and, it was a great dialogue during that meeting, a lot of things that were brought up, she was able to actually talk to representatives in CCSD about, even just the whole, the bullying and stuff like that, those like items were able to be discussed immediately, which is good. I haven't heard any follow-up yet, but I'll be able to follow up with her and see if there's any more information, so. Yeah, so.
Anything else from the board? All right. Item number 2, receive a report from Metro Police regarding activity and statistics during the past month and other area crime concerns.
Hello, Officer Chris Jeter, I've been in the department a little over 23 years, last year. Retired very soon, hopefully, not obviously. But, always happy to be here. It's a great town. So anyway, let's look this right here for the calls for Searchlight, 2024, 37 calls, which is 5 more than last year. Month of July, we had 29, citations, 39, 1 DUI, no domestic violence assaults or juveniles. We had 3 local arrests. I think about who that was. We have a couple of guys still in jail, which is a good thing, right? Couple of troublemakers. We have 1 kid we had arrested almost a year ago. You guys hear me okay? Almost a year ago? No?
it's not on.
Bottom, it's a red switch, just hold on to it for about 2 seconds.
Bottom, let's switch. Okay. I should have said something. So we had 1 kid who's been in trouble, in the town of Searchlight for many years. His name was Village String, and, for every year he's been alive, he's 22, arrested 21 times. He was arrested about a year ago for a very serious crime. His court date's coming up. So he is going to prison, there's no doubt about that, because I know some folks have mixed emotions about that, but sometimes in order to correct somebody, they can go to prison. And so this time it's coming. While he's at CCDC, he decided to attack a couple of correctional officers. So we had a plea bargain that was on the table, they removed that plea bargain, from that, so now he's looking at some serious time. And I think it needs to happen, so, it is what it is. He's out of our hair, hopefully, Zach is out of our hair for a while. He's still in jail. We're trying to go to a couple others. So just bear with us a little bit, just make sure that we kind of understand everything. Mark, I saw you twice today, it's my second time seeing you at another town hall, top of this morning, very pleasant. So, the other thing is really about respect, in this town, because we need to respect each other, that's the way it goes, that's the way it must be, in order for us to have a really good, town, that's the whole thing. Somebody here, I'm pretty sure everybody here had a parent or a guardian one time in their life that told them that respect is not given, it's earned. I think we all agree on that, okay? So if somebody wants to schedule a meeting, like I call it ambush meetings or whatever, got out of town that time, and yell and scream at the commanders of the department, I would think that you might want to, think about that for a second, because we're all part of this community, whether that person likes it or not. I heard, from my commander today that she was upset, so that person decided to contact the governor about our commander. All right, of course, when it comes back, because we're in charge of these communities, here, in Searchlight, in Laughlin. And so, it can be a little bit ridiculous, because, that respect needs to be earned, not given. So,
Officer Jeter, what you're referencing is a meeting that was called by Diane Kendall for the Metro.
that is correct, that is correct. So, I always say that Searchlight is a wonderful, wonderful town. There's not one town in America that should not have crime. It's not gonna happen. We wish it was a perfect world, but in Searchlight is very unique, because anything that happens between here and Plum Garden is normally a person from Searchlight that is committing a crime. Whether if it's County Guard, it's a person from Searchlight, committing that crime. And usually it's a person, we had two guys here that were never part of Searchlight, that lived in that gray trailer, that you guys come up out of the cove. They were thieves, and this community came together, and they kicked them out, right? But there's a problem here when it's, family members, okay? Whether it's by marriage or blood, they don't wanna do that. They wanna harm them, they wanna take care of them. And we just can't allow that to happen, so we can't complain about the police department doing their job when you're taking care of these guys, okay? So you can't feed them, you can't harm them, and you definitely can't, if you know somebody's homeless, they're trying to sell you a TV, maybe a 50-inch TV, you know it's stolen, okay? If they're trying to sell jewelry, you know his jewelry is stolen, all right? So think about that for a second, and, you know, don't be mad at the cops. You know, talk to their family members and say, these are their family that committed the crime. Like just the two, unhoused folks, you come out of town, they're family. Don't bring the cops for anything that happens at Searchlight, because you can't be here 24/7. So you gotta kind of take, you know, responsibility for your family members, get them out of town. Not your family members, you can't feed them, all right? You can't house them, you can't hide them from the police. That does the community no good. It just doesn't no good. So let's try to fix that a little bit, kind of stick together with that. And I also understand that you guys talked about, neighborhood watch program. I think that's a great idea. But I will say this right here, whoever's in charge of that neighborhood watch, you make sure it's a person that does not have ill intent, okay? Because no matter what, bad guys have rights. It is what it is. So if you push those rights, you become a suspect yourself, and then things will happen. So when you do start that neighborhood watch thing, just make sure somebody with some common sense is the leader, and that somebody gets count on and talk to, that's not gonna get you guys in trouble, okay? That's very, very important. My lieutenant, we also talked about today about people are intimidated about, they feel that they're gonna get harassed or attacked if they file a report. Okay, like he said, no one in this town has been attacked for making a police report. I'm pretty sure it's not gonna happen. A lot of these guys around here, these criminals, they're soft and they're scared. Right, they're like little girls, so they talk a lot, but, you know, that's beyond the point. So, lbnpd.com, if you go in there, you can file a report, okay? So we do not come to your house or whatever. If you're intimidated, you don't want to let the bad guys see a police car at your house, if you go to lbnpd.com, if you go file a report, it's gonna ask you a series of questions. If it's an emergency, it's gonna ask you jurisdiction, i.e., are you Boulder City, are you Henderson, are you Searchlight, are you Laughlin, because every area command has their own reporting system, so be careful of that right there. Let's see what else we got here. So just kind of keep in mind of that, please, and just know that, you know, whether some folks, I've been here 5 years, and I've been told I'm an outsider. I'm a resident of Searchlight, that's just what it is. It's a silly statement to make, but as you guys know, everybody up here knows that I'm all for this town right here, right? I don't shy down, I'm not intimidated by anybody. This is my town, whether it's 5 years or 20 years or 30 years, so understand that. Just keep that in mind that we are here for you guys, and just because people bark, we don't jump when they bark, right? That's not my job. I could care less who's barking at me. If the law requires me to do something, I will do that. If a person's barking at me to do something because they're barking, chances are I won't do that. So understand that, and understand when I say, during that meeting that you guys had, right, did you hear anything different what I've been saying over the last 5 years, 4.5 years? That came out when I was in this month about keeping your yards clean, you know, keeping it trimmed up, lights, cameras, all that good stuff. I know what I'm talking about, folks. I've been doing this job for a very, very long time, and worse communities than Searchlight, but Searchlight not even close to being a bad community. I know what I'm talking about. I went to school, I have a degree in criminal justice, a bachelor. This is my life right here. So when I ask you guys to do something, trust me, I know what I'm talking about. It works. Some person wrote on their email that no one can respond to that trespass signs don't work. Trespass signs do work, right? It is an NRS, and it's for a reason. The kid that was over at the senior center, I warned him about it, and guess what? He was arrested, right? So they work at your house, and they work at your businesses. It was originally created for business because people were lowering their own businesses, but it's the same thing for your house. So lights work, trespass signs work, cameras work. I gotta talk to somebody again, right? I got somebody that was in there a couple weeks ago that was, you know, not gonna go there, but I have that person's son trying to break into a house, right, on camera, live camera, shrine doors, right? I mean, so they do work. When I confronted that person about it, what he said, that wasn't me, the old Jedi mind trick, right? It wasn't me. I put my camera out, hit the report, who is that right there? I don't know who that is, really. Right, that's like me coming here without a uniform on. Right, no one's saying, we don't know who Chris is, you don't know who I should figure out. You gotta know who I am. So this person right here tried to deny the whole entire thing. And so, I may make you guys feel uncomfortable, but I have a job to do. Whether you like me or not, I'm gonna do that job. I'm gonna continue to make Searchlight one of the safest communities in America, if not Nevada, and I'm gonna do that my way, and do that how the law allows me to do that. I will not sacrifice anything to you guys' safety out here. So, because I don't want to be a victim myself, I don't want my wife to be a victim out here either. So, if we understand each other, then we all gotta come together as a community. If you do, the watch program, get with Michelle, because she's talking about it, get with Casey, who works at the post office, she's also talking about it. So, I know Kyle, you brought it up, probably a year or 2 years ago, probably. You know, Kyle's another good, probably experienced person. I myself, because it's a conflict of interest, you know, I gotta kind of back up out of that a little bit. But, just do the right thing and just make sure you start to do everything right. And do not allow a person in Searchlight to get you in trouble. Do not allow a person in Searchlight to get you harmed, right? Okay, so let's keep that in mind a little bit. So, other than that, is there any questions for me?
Any questions out there for Officer Jeter? Metro Police Department?
Don't be scared, come on. All right, James?
Anything from the board?
I think you said all that needs to be said about that.
Okay, Caleb?
No,
So,
All right.
thank you.
All right. You guys have a wonderful night.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Vaughn Bailey, 376 Encinitas, Searchlight. Okay, whoop, ouch. I broke it.
it still works.
You can hold it.
I have one question. Thank you. In the event of a real emergency, if we needed a policeman right now, which we know we can't get for 45 minutes, because they're all in Laughlin, where do we go? We call 911, and they're gonna send somebody from somewhere. But that emergency may need somebody now, not 45 minutes. What do we do?
So let me address that. So while I'm on duty here, this is the rule of the road. So, and when I was here last time, I had to address a couple of issues because somebody was abusing that in a very bad, I can't put that back in there. Somebody was abusing that right. It is not their right to have my personal cell phone number. I did that for the community and it got really out of control, out of hand. Okay, so this is the rule. This is my contract when I'm up in Searchlight or Laughlin. Per my commanders, all right, this is what we signed on for, and I came up here a long time ago, that we are 24 hours, right? We are 24 hours. But that does not mean somebody can call me up, like a citizen, hey, we got this going on right here. It doesn't work that way. So I agree with what you're saying. We had this discussion today, matter of fact, somebody had that same question. All right, if it came down to, like right now, I'm the only, during my shift today, I was literally the only officer on. And so when I tell you that, it's not just for Laughlin Searchlight, it's 3,000 square miles, right? That includes the rescues out there and all that kind of stuff that we're taking off and we have to take care of. So let's say emergency did happen, let's say they're down there on a, worst case scenario like they had last year, a homicide, and you have all 3 or 4 officers, they would call me out on that. Okay, so understand that that's our contract because we are minimally staffed. Like my squad, there are 3 guys. Las Vegas, there are 9 to 12 guys. So that's the way it works. So don't fear, because once you call 911, right, there's enough officers here that are not working, we have to get here 4 days a week, that they will call one of us out to take care of that.
Okay, that's what I want.
Yeah, so don't fear that. We're here for that, okay? And somebody brought up the whole thing about 311, having a 311 dispatcher in Laughlin or Searchlight, right? That's millions of dollars because it's based on a computer system right there that they just don't have. But not only that, those 311 people in Las Vegas, they're short like everything else is short right now. But understand that we are here for you. We're here for the children that go to school, and we can be called out at any time during that night, during our contract. We can be called out, so don't even worry about that.
So, but we have to call 911
You have to call 911.
in order for them to call one of you out.
No, it'll go, so once you make that call, right? If, let's say you call 911, somebody broke into my house, and let's say for some unknown reason, they're super busy down in Laughlin, right, they'll wake one of us up, and we'll come out, of our houses and take care of that. So, but you do have to call 911, because imagine if, I'm off, right? And something were to happen, and I took it upon myself, and I put my uniform on, and I went out and I killed someone, right? All right, it's gonna be justified, because I try not to make mistakes, but the question's gonna be asked, why do you let somebody else handle that call that was working that day?
But see, that's my question.
Yeah.
If they call 911, and they're getting somebody from Las Vegas,
But
emergency is, you need to be there within 10 or 15.
our radios work the same way, they all work the same way, so we don't get a delayed call from Las Vegas. So I hear Las Vegas calls, they hear our calls, so the minute it comes out, dispatcher, she'll say, hey, like my call sign's 8124, can you copy a call up in Searchlight? We're never more than, for me to get up here, driving normal is a half hour.
Right.
For me to get up here with my lights and sirens on is 10 to 15 minutes. Right, so that kind of gives you an idea of how fast we do travel, how fast we do get up here. I think some of the folks in the board can pretty much contest to that we're here, when that happens, so just understand that, don't worry about that. I know 311's hard, but if you can't, I'll give you information how to file a report online. If you're somebody, and I know none of you guys here are intimidated, so I'm not worried about that, you gotta tend to your own business here, right? So just make sure that you have an option. And folks, they can talk about all they want, I'll do it for you, they can't do it for you. So I'm giving you an option how to take care of that on your own, right? Because when you go to court and they say, well, who did the report? And they say, well, Kyle or James did it, and I don't know about it, right? I'm just gonna get dropped. So it's really important for you to report yourself. That way, it's good, that way it sticks. Okay? All right,
And
Mr.
I
Chuck?
can attest, as part of the fire department, that there have been situations where they do call the officers out. We had a gunshot wound, and there was an off-duty officer on scene within 3 minutes.
Yeah, so we
That
resolve.
we were on
That's what I
scene.
wanted to know.
So there,
There have been incidents in the past that there was an emergency, but nobody showed up for 45 minutes.
Yeah, and it's, what is your definition of emergency though? So,
Emergency, like if somebody's beating somebody to death, somebody's shooting somebody, I thought that's an
oh,
emergency.
no, like you said,
Okay,
like you said.
that's an emergency.
I mean, not coming off.
I'm from Oakland, California. I know
Oh, you know what you're talking about then. Yeah, I may not show up in a full uniform, but I'll have something that says police officer, whether it's my tac vest or not. We're coming out.
Not something that we can't handle ourselves.
Right.
But somebody that, or I'm in my house and somebody breaks into my house while I'm there by myself, and I call the police because I'm scared that they're coming in and they, might kill me. So this is what I'm talking about in emergency.
Okay, so, and I've said this many times, you guys, everybody in this room right here, whether you live in Las Vegas, Henderson, Motor City, you guys have the right to defend your house, defend yourself. Right, I know you're a tough woman. Somebody comes into your house, you're gonna give it to them, all right? You have every right to defend yourself. So if it was me, somebody's coming to my house, I'll probably call the police second. You take care of business. Yes, you gotta take care of yourself first. But you know what though? They're gonna have to figure it out. They're gonna have to figure out if they wanna be, they wanna hide, if they wanna hide people, they gotta be.
I'm 80 years old and I'm tough, but
I know.
I know people that are 65 and they're not.
Huh?
And they would be scared to death to go up against somebody. And I'm just saying, for those kind of people, how your protection is where they're not gonna end up getting hurt or killed, because there will be a police officer there within minutes.
Right, we're here, like I said, we get called out on everything, so if it's something, hectic or whatever, we get called out. So don't think that,
That's what I mean.
yes, when I'm off, yeah, I'm off, but per my contract, they can call me out 24 hours, and I have been up for 24 hours or more doing this stuff, so don't worry about that and don't fret that. There's enough people here that know, that you have my number, right? And they're the ones that have my number that I trust, that won't give it out to everybody, so, they know that you call 911 and they will come out.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, guys?
Any other questions out there from the public?
I just wanted to comment on, one, the discussion is that neighborhood watch would not work for us necessarily because the way it's structured, it's something about every 7 homes you have to find. So we would have to develop community watch. And what the community watch would entail would be helping each other and getting videos and things. One of the concerns that was brought up, and that's one of the things, Elias is here, there are individuals in our community that do not have internet. and they wouldn't be able to set up a camera security system so that they could protect themselves and have some comfort. So some of those are the things that we are going to help approach with Elias and trying to get internet out here. But it's also just working with your neighbors, and the community watch would establish, some of the things are, is that the concerns are, is what Chris mentioned, that you need to make sure that the crimes are reported. There were several crimes that discussed there that they were upset with the police, but no, their answer was, no, I did not report it. And then family members, well, I didn't want to report that person. So that's why we have the ongoing crime, is because the crimes that are witnessed are not being reported and not being reported as witnessed. So as a community, we need to come together for that. And one of the other things that come out of the community watch is that you get one central person, so that 6 people aren't calling into the police and talking about this one person. And so if you see a crime, you don't know whose property it was on, some dumping or something, if you report it to one person, then the one person can figure out who the owner is and go to that owner. So it's just getting more involved and getting more of a close-knit community to protect all of us and keep us all safe.
And
So-
there are ways to get the systems, because, you don't need the internet for some security systems, it's hardwired in, so I'll do something with that. I'm thinking about doing something for the community here with that. I don't want to speak too early about it, but I'll probably get a call on that, something like that, maybe a raffle system, or something, maybe, I'll buy something, maybe do a raffle every 2 months, every 3 months, just with the system, but no receipts, right, no receipts. And so that way, you guys can start, having something, to help you guys out, but anyway, so just keep that in mind, guys. We're all a community here. I don't care if you guys been here 5 years a day or 20 years. There are no outsiders here, except for the folks who don't belong here, who are committing crimes. So let's just keep that in mind a little bit. And you guys know I'm very, very approachable. So don't worry about that. Anything else? Are we good?
I think we're good to go. Thank you, Officer Judy.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you guys. You guys take care of yourselves.
Likewise.
Down right here.
So moving on to informational item number 3, receive a report from Kim Colton, Searchlight Volunteer Fire District, regarding calls for service during the past month and other fire prevention issues.
I'm Kim Colton with Searchlight Volunteer Fire Department. We had 16 calls for service in August, 12 for medical, 1 auto, and 4 fire calls. No structure fires, no vehicle fires, and small. So that's 16 calls compared to last year in August, we had 11. So it was actually I think I did my accounting wrong, and I'm a CPA. But I'm showing a 31% decrease in calls, because it's an increase, so that's why, 31% increase, we'll call it that. And as far as fire prevention, how many things today? Other than just wanted to mention that we'll be having the animal clinic, like Mark mentioned, at the fire department. And I have to apologize that when it was canceled, I was supposed to put a sign up, and I was late a half an hour, so people were waiting. So please, if you have anyone that showed concerns, please express my apologies to them, and we will make it up to them on September 30th and get the animals vaccinated.
Exciting. Thank you, Kim. Is there any questions out there for the fire department? Any at all? Okay, anything from the board? Thank you, Kim. Item number 4, receive a report from Sandra Yasinchak with Justice Court regarding statistics and other activities during the past month.
She's not here.
I think she's
She's not here.
sure. She's not here tonight, guys, but James is going to go ahead and read that for us. Maybe.
Okay, so it looks like we had 21 arraignments, status checks 24, all hearing trials status checks 26, all hearing trials 24, 222 new civil citations, 92 new traffic or misdemeanor citations, and 5 new criminal complaints, 281 Case is closed.
Awesome, thank you, James. Anyone has any questions on the report, you can contact Sandy with the Searchlight Justice Court. Okay, so moving on to item number 5, receive a report from Elias Askins with United States Department of Agriculture regarding the Rural Partners Network.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, board. I can't do this. How's that? Okay. My presentation this evening is really quick. It is just a reminder of the upcoming forum in Pahrump. Yes, I know it's a long drive, but it is next week, Thursday, on the 21st. The reason it was in Pahrump is because it's sort of in the middle of the state. We have folks driving down from northern Nevada. You know, I made the plea, but it makes sense when you look at the map. But more particularly, the keynote speaker is the Rural Utility Services Administrator. His name is Andrew Burke. He's coming out from DC. This is important because Mr. Burke is the person who's going to make broadband work from Searchlight through Calvary. I don't know if Palm Garden needs it, and all the way down to Laughlin. So he's the guy that's going to pull the trigger. So the project has actually grown beyond just rural utility services. So now it's RUS, Nevada's Office of Science, Information and Technology is part of it. The FCC is part of it. So if you are interested, once the broadband gets wired in, they have a program where they can give a discount to individuals. I don't know the particulars, but I believe FCC is committed to being there next week as well. And NTIA, I have no idea what that stands for. I just know their technology. And so they will be there. So you'll have a chance to speak with Mr. Burke if you have questions. And there will also be a panel set up for all these folks that have to do with the technology, running broadband, etc. What I understood, because a question came up at the Laughlin board, does this cost anything out of Clark County, Laughlin, Searchlight, etc.? It is my understanding, no. This has all been funded through the federal programs. I believe it is a grant, but Clark County has to be involved in it, obviously. But it is a grant, and the service provider, don't ask me how, it's supposed to be Valley Electric. They are contracted, as far as I understand, to run broadband to government buildings all along the highway. And so the question came up, hey, if they're already putting in the infrastructure, what about running fiber and broadband out to the communities? So that's how this came about. That's about all the information I have on it. It is a long drive. I would encourage you to be there in person if you can. Mr. Burke will be speaking at noon. So he'll be speaking at noon. And then there'll be panels later in the day. On a side note, you guys always put me after Officer Jeter. That is a tough act to follow. But he mentioned something that, and I've mentioned this before. Remember, I came out of housing. And for anyone who needs home repairs, and what he made me think about was how many repairs I have had to fund of broken windows, broken locks, broken doors, broken gates. If you are 62 or older, and, you know, you meet the income threshold, basically, if you're on fixed income, 62 or older, you will qualify for a grant. And when I came here the first time, the grant was $7,500. It is now $10,000. We are sending money back at the end of the month. It's the end of the fiscal year. And I asked before, if you know anyone, if you need to apply, please do it, because the last thing we want to do is send the funding back. So, that's it. Any questions?
Yes, when was the date again?
The forum is Thursday, September 21st. It's an all-day forum. It starts at 8. You know, I know you're not leaving here at 5 o'clock to make it, but it's from 8 to 5, and there will be various agencies throughout the day. But I just highlighted Administrator Burke because it is particularly about the broadband.
Regarding the broadband, is this a state of Nevada type of project, or is it specific to South County?
Okay, our project is particular to Southern Clark County Community Network, which you guys call South County. But the program is nationwide.
Right.
So it applies to every network. That's why I'm kind of excited that we actually got him to come here. So this particular program just addresses your network.
And then the other question I had for you was the $10,000 home repair grants. Who was that through?
That one is us. That's USDA Rural Development. That is actually who I work for, is USDA Rural Development. Our office is in Las Vegas. USDA does a lot of things, but our particular office handles home loans and home repairs. And by the way, I just mentioned the grant portion because we really hate sending grant money back. But if you are younger than 62, you can still apply for a loan. If you meet the income, can't be over income, it's a 1% loan. That's it. 1%, 20 years. That works out to $4.60 repayment for every $1,000 you borrow.
It's unfortunate that you guys are sending money back, you know.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the Laughlin meeting, and I'm not going to be able to meet the Pahrump meeting either. Is there any other plans in the future, or is this kind of the big one right now?
This is the big one. There will be a second one because we're also hearing it from northern Nevada, and I believe the second one is actually going to be further north.
Yeah.
I did put in a request that it be virtual attendance allowed, but I may have waited too late. It just wasn't time to set it up. And the other thing I have learned is that the folks in DC do not understand the size of this state. So,
That's been true
they've
for
had
quite
these
a while.
meetings in Kentucky and North Carolina, in Georgia, where I'm from. You could drive those states in a couple of hours.
So would Mr. Burke be able to take correspondence through email for folks that can't attend?
That I don't know, because I have never corresponded with an administrator. We have layers and layers and layers.
I could imagine.
So I will find out who to address for everyone who can't attend in person, because he is open to communications.
That'd be great, thank you. Is there anything else from the board?
Yes. So, and I will not be able to make the meeting either due to work. So I'm assuming that you will represent us to your best abilities to be able to get this to move forward for us?
You actually have someone better.
I will be attending.
Oh,
So, yeah, I'll be there
okay.
for Clark County, so, and I'll be able to make sure all of our, and I work very closely with Elias, all of our concerns, questions, comments are brought to the table. So if you have stuff that is of, you want to ask and stuff, please don't hesitate to email both of us, and we can kind of work on it together. Elias might even be able to provide answers beforehand, so, yeah, but yeah.
With you attending, Mark, would there be other parties that may be speaking at the forum that we may be interested in as a community with speaking about different projects?
I don't know the answer to that. I know we're also gonna have our community economic development department from Clark County will be there as well. But Elias, I don't know if there's been an agenda released or.
It's still being ironed out.
Okay.
I only have a partial agenda at this point, but there are representatives on different levels, the local, the commissioners, the congressional reps will be there, Senate will be there, the administrator, which I mentioned, and then 2 people from the White House. They are on the Domestic Policy Council. These are the folks that when they hear these ideas, they take them into the Oval Office. So, one will be on the initial panel, and then one lady will be holding a panel herself.
And can I make one other note? I wanna make sure people understand, like, anyone in the community is allowed to attend. It's not just board or county members.
Yes.
Anybody can attend this meeting, so.
It is at Valley Electric, they have a community room. I think it's Highway 173. I know when you go in on 160, it's the main turn on.
Yeah.
And it's about, I believe it's 173.
So it's gonna be at 800 East Nevada Highway 372.
372, sorry.
Yep. And then it's Nevada 89048. And that's also the Valley Electric Association Conference Center. And that's gonna be on September 21st from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Thank you for the save.
I got it up here, so. I'll text you right now.
So just to clarify, this is for broadband?
No, this ranges over about 20 different agencies. But the keynote speaker,
Is the one
the
that's going
speaker
for-
is
okay.
the one on
And it just so happens
broadband.
that Valley
Valley
Electric, where it's
Electric.
being held, is the service provider as well. Okay.
I have no idea, that one was way above me. I'm just reporting as I'm learning it,
Yeah,
so.
so, because I mean, we have high-speed internet on here on half of the highway.
Yes,
It's the other half that has the, 10, whatever megabytes, download speeds that are slow, they can't do anything, they don't push enough.
right.
So that would be the concern. And then I don't know if this will be addressed, one of the big issues is we would like television and antennas.
I'm working on it.
I know you said it was
I haven't
repeated.
forgotten, I
Okay.
haven't forgotten.
Because-
As I said, when I was here before, that is a little more complicated than I anticipated. And the folks that are kind of guiding me are all consumed with this forum right now.
Okay.
So after next week, then we're gonna get back to, hey, how do we get the, repeater antenna? So the signal can get here.
Fantastic, thank you for following up on, okay, one last question then. So you had the meeting in Laughlin, is there anything that you wanna share with the board that came out of that meeting?
No, well, I did sort of, was the funding question. That was the most important one, for me, because it was a concern. And that was a concern I hadn't even considered, that the residents of each town would be concerned that the money was coming from the town. But no, it isn't. Other than that,
And I would just say on that note, it's more of like, all the funding's coming from the USDA, then the USDA will kind of work with the county of getting maybe easements or being able to work with community partners to make sure it works. That's why we're always like, we're gonna work through everything to see if it'll work. We don't know what roadblocks we're gonna hit, but I know this is a long program, but Elias has been absolutely fantastic. He's always answered my calls and everything, so please don't hesitate to reach out to us. He's doing so much for us. Every good idea we come up with, he runs with, and I know we all have the same ideas and thoughts on it, so Elias and I are always pushing those thoughts and everything to what we want to do to make it more inclusive to the community and make sure we can service everybody with these grant funds. So.
Grateful for that, thank you.
Thank you, Mark and Elias. I'd just like to open up any questions to the public. Anything out there for Mr. Elias?
Yes, we should have here to talk about the farmer's market possibly.
Uh,
That's another agenda, so.
No, it's just, okay, so you threw me under the bus. So, when I first took this job, and you remember I was sending out those crazy project inquiry forms, asking you to send them back. Finally, someone at the national office said, hey, this is stupid, let's not do this anymore. So now we can just talk to people. And if you have an idea, if you have an issue, let Mark know, let me know, and we move forward with it. I still say be patient because I'm one person and I have a big learning curve with all of these agencies. But regarding the farmers market, one of the first projects or issues that was brought to my attention was the lack of fresh food in this community. So I have since learned what a food desert is. Searchlight, Calmavari, Palm Gardens are officially food deserts, meaning more than 10 miles from the nearest big supermarket, right? And that's what Searchlight is. I've been asking the questions. It is going to be nearly impossible to get a supermarket here because of the population size. There are too few people. So I'm also exploring, I brought up co-op. So we're exploring a co-op, which may or may not work. The idea that I discussed earlier with Officer Jeter and a few other folks was the possibility of some type of farmer's market. But I don't understand enough about the community to know if there would be enough participation. Say if you could get a farmer's market here 1 weekend a month, 2 weekends a month, you know, could we get participation from Cal Navari if food is needed, fresh food anyway. Not to take business away from the convenience stores in town, but I'm talking about something that focuses on really vegetables, fruits.
I think we're sort of on the right track with that, with 4-H, doing the community garden. The representative that was working with us at the time had resigned or moved on, so it just kind of fell flat. But I think the farmer's market might be hard, like you mentioned, for participation, but if we had our own community garden where the folks that are going to be involved are growing the food, and then it could be distributed through those people, and you could have essentially a farmer's market without it being a huge ordeal, like a Searchlight-sized farmer's market.
I'll have to get back to you, but I'm fairly certain I found something that applies to a community garden just this week, actually. I don't know the particulars on it because I didn't know that was an option, so I didn't research it. Also, I was hoping Ms. Bishop would be here.
She's not.
She's not,
Civil
okay.
rights,
Okay.
But we can communicate with her anything that you need, so.
Okay, so I copied you on the email. I did find another resource for Silver Rider. Is it Silver Rider that, you'll have to explain
Yeah,
this.
it's Silver Rider, which is part of the Southern Nevada Transit Coalition, so. Silver Rider is the operator, and then they're in like a coalition, so.
Okay, because she mentioned the food bank and deliveries.
Yes,
Okay, and I sent her a couple of resources
okay.
that may help.
Yeah, and I can follow up with her. She's been great with that, and she could sometimes maybe be our missing link of being able to
Okay.
get stuff, so.
Okay,
And Silver Rider, so.
okay. And I'll work on the community garden.
Yes, and we can talk later on more about that too.
Okay.
And we're fortunate though, Joan, that's here with the senior center and works with Silver Rider and the food bank and distributes fresh vegetables to the seniors. So,
We deliver the first and third Wednesday of every month, fresh fruit and vegetables and bread.
From the senior center.
To the things from the building, it comes from 3 Square,
Okay.
and then we distribute.
Okay.
And and it's just down the hallway, the food bank in this building. Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Real quick, Elias, you mentioned that they aren't doing the project inquiries anymore. So the ones that were turned in, or they just thrown in
No,
the trash?
no, I still have them.
Okay, I put a lot of effort into those.
Yeah, no, I still have them, and I'm still working on them, as they come, but as I said, this signature project with broadband and this forum have literally taken all the oxygen out of the room.
Right.
Another project that we were working on quietly was the helipad access. So it was brought to my attention early on that the emergency air ambulance is right now forced to land in maybe the parking lot on the highway, in the ball field by the school. So we're working on getting access to the helipad, so it's a little bit safer and a designated space for emergency services.
So which helipad?
It's apparently a helipad over by the landing strip. I didn't know, I just learned that.
At the airport?
Mm-hmm,
At the airport?
yep.
And so right now, the owners of the airport have given us access without law.
Nope, I have the code. I've actually already forwarded it to, I don't know who the chief is.
Chief Brandon,
Yes, oh yeah.
so
Yeah.
we do have access to that way.
It's some digital code or combination lock, I'm not sure.
Combination law.
It's a combination lock. And the management company did not know you didn't have access.
We do.
Oh, you do, okay.
We do have access. They gave us access, about 5-6 months ago, so we've been finally able to use the airport again.
Okay,
It's not great. I mean, it's sad that our, government gave away our airport, and it was 15 years ago. We didn't have a choice in the matter,
right.
and they, leased it out, and there it sits for the last 15 years doing nothing because of situations.
So,
So the whole thing is sad, but yes, it's,
so stay tuned, bear with me, there are, I'm restricted. There are changes coming. I'll leave it at that.
thank you for that. We appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, last call for Elias. Anybody out there?
And Elias is the one that came out of state to get married here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I came here 19 years ago last week from Georgia. So,
That's awesome.
yep.
Well, thank you, Elias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 6, receive a report and updates regarding the Aviquame National Monument from Jimmy Ramirez, Outdoor Recreation Planner with the Bureau of Land Management.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. So hopefully I'll drop that. Name's Jimmy Linares, I'm with BLM. I'm also currently the interim monument manager for Aviquame National Monument. I'm sure most of you know the monument got designated in March of this year through presidential proclamation. President designated about 506,000 acres. Pretty much all the area around Searchlight, Counterpart, Palm Springs, as far south as almost Laughlin, far west as the McCullough Mountains, and as far east as the Park Service boundary at Lake Mead. Much of that, some of you might already know this, it's desert tortoise critical habitat, so it's been protected to some degree. The monument designation intends to protect not only the tortoise habitat and the tortoises and the wildlife in it, but also the landscape as a whole, in keeping with the tribe's wishes to ensure that their pathways and lifeways, traditional lifeways, are being protected. And that also includes Spirit Mountain, which to them is their, essentially their origin story, is where they come from. In the proclamation, there are a couple of directives came out of that, one of which is for the BLM and the Park Service to develop a co-management agreement to then manage the monument itself. There are parts of the monument, a very small part that is managed by the Park Service, and the vast majority is managed by the Bureau of Land Management. Additionally, the proclamation asks the BLM and the Park Service to develop a co-stewardship agreement with the tribes. Those two agreements are still under development. It takes a long time to get all the parties at the table and get these agreements in place. Don't have a timeline for that, but hopefully in the next year we'll have a final agreement with the tribes, Park Service, at which point we can move forward with projects, whether they be recreation related or amendments to existing power lines, things of that nature. Additionally to that, it also calls for the BLM to develop what's called the Monument Advisory Council, very similar to a Resource Advisory Council, but limited to the boundaries of the monument. So really early on in the phases of really getting to develop the monument, not a lot going on right now, other than, again, just working on these agreements. Hopefully we'll have an update on that for you soon, but might be a little while before that happens. Government work slow, so apologies there. Did want to also give an update on the York fire. I'm sure a lot of you saw the smoke, probably saw a lot of the EMS fire trucks driving through town in August. That fire is 100% contained, 100% controlled. It did eventually burn approximately 93,000 acres between California and Nevada. Of those 93,000, about 8,200 were in Nevada and entirely within the monument over by the Crescent Peak area. Mostly Joshua Tree, black brush with very, very sensitive desert ecology, desert vegetation communities. Unfortunately, that community and that vegetation will be lost for generations. We are working on what's called an ESR plan, which is an emergency stabilization and rehabilitation plan. We're in a draft form at the moment. But currently the elements in the plan include signage to let folks know that there was a fire, how to recreate responsibly in that area. The area is not close to recreational use, but unfortunately it's burned, so there's not a lot there to see anymore. It would also include some barriers so that folks can't get into certain areas where we have sensitive either cultural resources and natural resources. And we also will do transplanting of Joshua trees once they're grown out. That unfortunately is a 2 to 3 year process to get them grown out in nursery and then planted out. When that does occur, we'll reach out to the community and see if anybody would like to help with those projects of actually planting the Joshua trees and other species as well. We do ask though that folks, if they go into that fire, to ensure that they avoid the burn area, so don't drive cross country, just stay on those well-developed roads. What happens is we spread weeds in fire areas and makes it that much more difficult to have recovery of vegetation, natural vegetation come back. So if you go out there, if at all, if you can avoid it, if you don't, just stay on those designated roads, follow any signs you see to stay out of certain areas, and just basically just recreate responsibly. Everybody kind of knows what that means, I think. Fire restrictions have been lifted as of end of August. Every year, all the federal agencies usually have a fire restriction order through the summer, particularly in Southern Nevada. That has been lifted early this year because of all the precipitation we got, so be careful with the campfires, but you're welcome to have them. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Walking Box Ranch, Rex Battle Fire, a big part of this community, so I'm sure everybody knows where that is. It is unfortunately closed at the moment. We're having some structural issues with it, so it's not open to the public for tours as it was a few years ago. We're hoping to be able to shore up some of the structural issues we have and have the public come back in for tours, scheduled tours, and hopefully at some point a visitor center there, or not so much a visitor center as a contact station, where the public come in, normal business hours, but until we have those structural issues under control, it'll likely be closed to the public. With that said, I do want to announce that we'll be hosting a National Public Lands Day event, September 23rd at Walking Box. Pretty simple. It's an opportunity for the community to come out, talk to the BLM. There'll be a few folks from the BLM there. We have a partner group in the Friends of Bicome that will hopefully be there to help us, and it sounds like they will be. We will be doing a little landscaping work around the ranch and the bunkhouse, and at the end of the day, we'll be able to give a tour of the house and the property. So I invite you all to come out, visit. If you want to help, great. If you just kind of want to hang out, more than welcome to. And that again will be September 23rd at 9 o'clock at Walking Box Ranch. And then lastly, I'm sure a lot of you folks probably heard of this, 8 Minute Energy, which I believe had a project proposed in West Laughlin, and also Crescent Peak Removals, which is the wind farm at Crescent Peak, have both withdrawn their applications voluntarily. Those two projects are no longer on the docket for the BLM. That was a result of the monument being designated, so. And that's end of report from me. Any questions for me?
I'd like to start off by saying thank you for the very informative report. Haven't seen a lot of BLM out here since I've been on the board, and I really appreciate that.
Apologies for that. We try to get out, but unfortunately, just.
You guys are
and
busy.
I'm hoping to be able to make it out to you folks a little more regularly.
So regarding the National Monument Board, Searchlight will be involved in that process when it gets to that point, correct?
So the way the advisory councils are sort of developed is the BLM puts out a notice of nominations essentially, at which point individual people can nominate themselves to be on that board. The proclamation is very specific, and it's actually unusual how specific the proclamation was as far as the makeup of the advisory council. It is supposed to be at the very least 51% tribal members, and then a few other members from different backgrounds, recreation, local politicians, or folks who are in the government, local governments, and I forget the other categories. But yes, there is an opportunity to apply to be part of that advisory council.
Thank you. And then another question I wanted to touch base with you is we have a bad problem with dumping on BLM lands here. So I just wanted to see if you could address how the community could report these concerns, whether it's dumping or any other crimes being committed on the BLM lands.
Yeah, so Tammy, if it's okay, I'll send it through you to send out to the board members. There is a VQMA specific email. Those can go to that email, and then our team can respond to them. I have responded to quite a number of dumping sites around Searchlight, County, and Palm Gardens. I think a few months ago, I told the story, I think I picked up about 9 jet skis. I picked up, I think, 6 cars we pulled out of just the area adjacent to County. The truckloads we brought out over the last 2 years has been kind of unfortunate, really. So we're working on it, but send the reports, please. We want to address them as best as we can.
The community would like to help as much as that we could, obviously. It's horrible that people do that. So this a VQMA email would kind of serve as an email that the community can use to report these activities.
Yes.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be just in the monument. If it's outside the monument adjacent, we can still address it. However we can, but we certainly do it.
The last thing I have for you is, are you familiar at all with the disposal lands?
Yes, to some degree.
Would you have any idea regarding the Searchlight area on what those lands are, what the process is for that program, and how could we get more information on the opportunities from the program?
So typically with disposal lands, and I'm not a realty specialist, so maybe don't quote me on this entirely, but typically they're nominated. So within a disposal boundary, an agency or a developer or somebody who has an interest in those lands would nominate those to the BLM. The BLM would then at some point put it up for auction. There is the option for direct sales occasionally, but I'm not too familiar with that process. But I can certainly forward your interest to our lands and realties division.
Yeah, and that would be great if we could, even if we just get the information and see if it's something that would be good for our community or not. Thank you, Mr. Linares. Is there anybody else from the board? Is there anybody else? Are you good, Kim?
I think Elias has a question.
I'm open to the board right now. Would you like to ask a question?
This was specific to the lands, I believe, and then.
Yes,
I
I'm
have
gonna
a
open it
question.
up to the public. I'm asking if there's anything else from the board.
I do have some questions. after.
Okay.
Always after.
I don't want to jump back and forth. If you could just start with your question, please.
I'm just will discuss, because I don't know what disposal lands are, and are there some that are out here? Is there a question, like, so that's what?
Yes. That's why I asked the question.
Okay, so can you be more specific? Can you clarify for myself and the public what the disposal lands are, what you're specifically referencing?
Well, that's why I asked the question to
So
Mr. Linares.
So the BLM generally in most urban interface areas or larger areas that have towns, it's obviously, this is a sizable town, the BLM will generally, at some point in the land use planning process, for us, it was in 1998, drew a boundary around Searchlight on the Vegas Valley, and they did that on McLaughlin as well, of those lands that the BLM manages that are up for disposal, which means they can be sold off without any special process. Because a lot of times these lands that aren't within disposal tend to need to go up to essentially headquarters or Washington DC. We can dispose of those lands locally at our field office level. I don't know exactly the disposal boundaries for Searchlight off the top of my head, but it is pretty large and it's a good buffer around what we know to be developed now. But in essence, what disposal lands are, those lands within a designated boundary that can be sold off, typically auctioned off by the BLM.
And did that change or something after the monument? Is
No.
that why there's a question, or they already were disposal lands?
As far as I know, the disposal boundary has not changed since '98. The monument had no effect on the disposal boundary.
Okay, so no changes.
No changes.
Okay. I did have a couple questions then. I lost it. There's been an increased number of BLM, like, around, and I'm assuming that's due to the monument now. Is that going to stay like that, or is just that's because you're in the planning process?
You're talking about personnel?
Personnel and law enforcement, and how that impacts us, I'm curious.
So I think it was a combination of the monument being designated and then also the fire. Post-fire, we do a lot of post-fire monitoring. So you'll see a lot of BLM folks heading to the fire burn now. Law enforcement patrols have increased to some degree in the area now that we have more law enforcement officers in our district. So you'll see a lot more of them than before. Unfortunately, not as much as I'd like them to be out, but I do quite usually bug them about coming out a little more regularly. Fortunately for us, it's 3.5 million acres in southern Nevada that they cover, so they're pretty limited in how much they can cover. Other personnel that come out are recreation park rangers, like I said, fire staff, and then some field biology, botany staff that comes out as well.
It's been nice to have the extra law enforcement. I mean, we as a community like that, and I'm glad, and hopefully it will continue. One of your law enforcement staff can help me out when I was on a fire call by myself.
Oh, I'm glad to hear
So
that.
it was great to have it. It was 4 o'clock in the morning and they stopped and helped. So
I will be sure to relay
Grateful for you
that
guys.
back to them. Yeah, and I'll keep pestering them with coming out more often.
glad for it. And we don't want dumping. Kyle's absolutely right. Like, so with your increased patrols and they see people around, it will help to lower that hopefully.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? All right, I'll open up to the public. Elias?
Fair warning.
Elias, could you come up to the speaker's podium, please? No problem.
Fair warning. BLM confirmed today that either someone from the national office or the state is coming to our forum. Oh. Yeah, so just letting you know. Also, to your question about the disposal process. I don't know the disposal process, but I met with the BLM Realty Specialist, I think is her title, in the office on North Torrey. And her name is Aisha Gamagay. I have your email. I will forward her contact info to you.
That would be great. Thank you, Mike.
Sorry.
No, he's dead on it. Isha is the one that does take care of that. If not, she has staff that'll take care of it, or at least respond to any inquiries as far as the land disposal.
Anybody else from the public? Judy?
Is there a deadline for Crescent Peak Wind to remove the Met Towers?
They're still under bond, so until they do, they won't receive their bond back. I don't know the timeline on it, but they are required to take it down.
Yeah, because there's I guess, a number of them. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I forget exactly how many, but they are required to take out.
Okay, and I believe one of them was installed by helicopter because it was too rough terrain to build a road. So I'm assuming it'll have to come out the same way it went in.
Yes, as far as I understand, that's the way it would be. I don't know
Okay.
specifically which your times, but I'm concerned looking at that, but my understanding is they'll pull them out, they'll put them in, do reconstruction, and they bond, they will hold the bond until it's.
Okay. So I say, I'm dumping, is there an email I can send a photo to with dumping?
Yeah, I'll send it to Tammy, and
Okay.
in fact, I'll give you my business card, I'll give you an top of it.
Right.
There'll be central email for all that to go through.
And the work being done at Walking Box, is that repairs to the barn eventually?
Eventually, yeah, I'm looking for funding at the moment for that.
And for the, some repair items at residence too?
The repairs and structural stuff will focus on stabilizing the barn to make it so that it won't collapse, hopefully. The two balconies, the house, some roof issues, and obviously some of the water mains that we see.
Yeah, I think there's leakage around windows and so on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Is there anybody else from the public who would like to ask a question to Mr. Linares? All right, Mr. Linares, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Right, item number 7, receive a report and updates from Luis Blancarte, Community Relations Manager with Equinox Gold.
Good evening, Honorable Board, Clark County staff, members of the public. Luis Blancarte with Equinox Gold. With me today, I have Ben Schultz. He's mine manager out at Castle Mountain. He'll be helping me with the presentation. And Patricia Trujillo and Kimberly Parshka with the HR department to answer any questions you might have. Our address is 980 American Pacific Drive, suite number 102, Henderson, Nevada. For the next 2 hours, I'm gonna go, no. Sorry about that. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you or teach you a lot about the Hart Mining District. It's, you know, it's the other way around. I've got tons to learn from you. But what we can do today is share with you what the current state is, what's going on, and what we've been up to. Obviously, here's a picture taken in 1907 with a full, sorry about that, with a full vibrant community and the township there. And that exact same shot, as much as we tried duplicating it, that's what it looks like today. So the desert does grow back. It heals its past and starts from scratch. The property, most of you know maps and can recognize them right off the bat. But here's kind of a land use, and what we're very proud of is that although this is our property, each color here represents a different type of land use, whether it's protected, private land use, private land, recreational, public lands. And we manage to work day in and day out in harmony with those border lines. The overlay of the property would look something like that today. And that's kind of historically what we got when we took it over. A lot of you refer to it as a visceral mine when you talk to me about it. To talk to you a little bit about the process, what we are doing today, how we are processing. I'd like to have Ben Schultz come up and help me with it. And he'll go a little bit over the illustration on the process. Now, keep in mind that if you would like to see this process live, contact me, contact one of us. We will arrange for you to go out and see it. I have had a question from a couple people. I work during the week and I'm only available weekends. We're available weekends for you as well. So let us know. With that, Ben?
Thank you, Luis. For clarification, I think that was Luis is available on weekends, so just seriously. Ben Schultz, Operations Manager here at our Castle Mountain Mine. Thank you for your time this evening. What this diagram here is just trying to illustrate is we start with our mining process, where we use the equipment and the trucks. We then buy conveyor belts and other processes, size the equipment, size the material that we've mined out of the pit. It then goes into our processing facility, where we place the material on a pad, sprinkle our process solution through that. The solution goes through a series of tanks and then is recirculated. We then pull out the gold bar out of the very end. It's a fairly simple process, been around for hundreds of years and still works. So, there we go. A picture of that kind of in at least the mining part of that. This is our Jumbo South Leslie Ann pit. I believe looking about northwest, if my bearings right. This picture's a couple of years old, but it is showing some of our mining operations. This is one of our excavators with a haul truck, and then we've got another digging unit up here. I can't quite tell from the photo, as you can tell from the wet road. We water our roads to minimize our fugitive dust for the site. And then lastly, at least for my part, here's a picture looking south over the processing plant. So the second part of that diagram, where the material is, we're actually standing on this, the picture, we're standing on the ore pile that the solution is being circulated through. It then gets collected through a bunch of pipes, then is brought through these columns. This is our processing plant, where we then produce, actually at Castle, we don't produce our gold all the way down to a gold bar. We take it to the point in the process just prior to that. You need a refinery and very hot ovens, etc., which we actually have in our Mesquite mine, and those are quite capital intensive, so we have not built ours yet. We'll be doing that as part of our phase 2. So in the meantime, we ship our carbon down to Mesquite. They take the gold out of it and ship it back to us. So, with that, I'd like to turn it over to you. All right, great, thanks.
So Ben's phone number is 928. Ben spoke a little bit about taking it to phase 2. So phase 2 is when we're going to start the construction of the facility at large. HR is here, and maybe they can speak to it a little bit later, but at that time, we expect to have about 500 contractors on site that will be working, building the facility as a whole. Once they are completed, then we will go down to a crew that we will hire, that it is our employees, and those are estimated to be over 300. HR can correct me on the correct number there. And so we'll be doing a lot of recruiting. We'll be knocking on a lot of doors. I'll let HR get into that. I get a lot of questions about what happens when you start digging in a new area. Before we start digging in any area that has already been permitted to dig, we do a clearance. We do a wildlife clearance. We do an environmental clearance. We actually have wildlife biologists almost walking that area shoulder to shoulder. Not quite, but very close. And what they're doing is they're looking for wildlife, they're looking for sensitive artifacts out there. And then any plants that we want to keep, obviously our goal is to revegetate after we are done. And I'll show you how nature revegetates itself, but we want to help it. We have our own greenhouses where we grow from very small plants. A lot of them we take out, we transplant them. We do the same with Joshua trees. And you can see here we have our own farm growing quite robustly. And we hope to be able to help BLM with the reforestation of some of the ones that were lost to the fire. Obviously, you know that we put some of these into the community for adoption. I also been asked quite a few times, did York Fire do anything to them? Well, it did to some. And as you can see, those are our mine employees out there with hoses trying to keep those from burning. We did lose some, very few compared to the amount that we have collected, but we did lose some. One item of importance to point out is that not only was our trained on-site team able to minimize the loss, but the access road that goes to our property served as the buffer line where the fire did not jump. So if you go down, drive down the access road, you will see that the fire is on the right if you're driving in, and the left is intact. And so I am glad that it was able to serve. It's a very well-kept road, and it's, you know, we keep it to a certain width because of the equipment that comes in. And so that served an unintended purpose that at the end of the day it was good. Our goal is at the end of the day when we are done, we are going to reforest and reclaim the facility using the native plants that were harvested from there and put in our greenhouses along with whatever was grown from our nurseries. Here you have an example. This is in 2006. Well, let's go back to 1992. Here's an operating leach pad. Once we were done with it, we went ahead and sloped it, reclaimed it, and then here is 2017, what that looks like. You know, the environment growing back into it, through us helping it, the predecessors, and nature going on. Here's a similar look. This is 1999. Here it is in 2019. You can see that starting to little by little disappear. And so whenever possible, we will take it back to as close as we can from where we started. I also get a lot of questions about the adopt cactus or the Joshua trees. We are hoping that in November of this year, we will be able to have another cactus adoption program. If you remember, this was where community members could come in and they could choose up to 5 different cacti to take home. That was very successful. We get quite a few inquiries. So one of the reasons why I handed the gentleman from BLM right now my business card is because we use the walking box ranch to have the community go out there and pick them up. And so if there is problems with the structures, we're very interested in seeing how we can coordinate with it to still be able to have this kind of safely still have this kind of event out there so the community can go out. The other question is, all these are cactus that we have removed from areas, and are you gonna need them now for the reforestation of the burn area? So you'll be hearing from me, very interested in talking about that. So we are looking probably November. I don't have a date yet because that would be in conjunction and approval with BLM. I have some figures for you that I'm not gonna bug you with, but this is probably the one that a lot of people look at, is how much job creation and how much overall financial impact goes into the communities that we are at. And so that gives you a good opportunity. I did take out some information related to the school districts and so on, but that's readily available. One of the other important questions that we get asked about is what kind of jobs are available, where do I apply, how to apply? Well, for that, we have today here the people that actually do the hiring, and they'll be able to answer any question you have. So Patricia, Kim, are you, I'm sorry, maybe you'll come up.
Hello, Patricia Trujillo. I'm the HR manager for the U.S. operations, so I assist with Castle Mountain and also our Mesquite mine. Currently, right now, for our Castle Mountain mine, we do have positions open with our company. We have an IT systems administrator, a heap leach operator, a senior electrical engineer, a senior metallurgist, and a lab technician. So if you know people within your family or within the community that has the qualifications, please, at the top of this sheet that I gave you is our link to our careers. And then also on the back table, we have applied, and then we have some postcards if you want a little smaller, thing to take with you and put on your refrigerator, so if you know somebody, you have it readily available for them. It's a great opportunity, it's a great company to work for. As you could see, we do a lot to give back to the land that we are working and providing for, gold and all the phones that we have and all the wonderful jewelry that we have, right, and all that technology. We also have two big companies that are contracted that are currently working at our site, Phillips and Jordan, and Diatley Crushing Services. They also hire. So if there are individuals within the community or your families that like to play in the dirt or crush or blow things up, another great opportunity for them to apply with those companies, and eventually we will be doing that in-house with our phase 2 and growing. As Louise said, we will be looking to increase our current employee numbers to about 380, 385. So that's a great opportunity for job opportunity for the community. So again, great company to work for. So if you have questions or you have anybody interested, please reach out. Kim is our senior recruiter. She works at our Henderson office. Great resource for her too, so. So one of the big things that we have provided for Castle Mountain Mine is transportation. We have employees that live in Laughlin. We have employees that live in northern Vegas. It's a long commute, everybody knows, right? So we have vans in 4 different locations that the employees meet at a certain spot, and then they get into the van, and then we commute them all the way up to Searchlight, so, or up to the site. Yeah, gives them a chance. They have long days, they work really hard, gives them, saves on their wear and tear on their vehicles, saves them on gas, and then it also is a great fatigue management that we provide for employees, so.
I'm gonna add something on that real quick. So on the Equinox Gold website, you can also sign up for email notifications when new jobs are posted.
Yes. Yes.
I get those regularly, so.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. It's a new, we're enhancing our recruiting platform, so yes, that is a great one to do. So if there's something in there, you want to work in HR, because HR is great, and we don't have a position, you can go on there, and it does.
Do any positions from Equinox Gold provide training on the job, or is it?
Absolutely. Most all of our positions are on-the-job training. So that's one of the unique things for us. When we interview and we look for candidates, we might not look for somebody that has experience in that, like our heap leach. That's usually our entry level, get your foot in the door, our labs. And we train them, and then we work with our employees to grow them to be leaders within our organization. Some of our technical roles, yes, they do have to have some background, some education. We do have tuition reimbursement for individuals that do become employees with our company. We have great benefits, so bonus programs. So it is a great opportunity for somebody that maybe doesn't know what they want to do, but they like being outside, they like playing in the dirt, and knowing that, and getting paid for it, and getting paid good money, right? So we would love to be able to help the community, and it helps us, and it helps, local and bad people.
Mr. President, prior slide, 2 of 5 positions, those are there, the heat leach operator, and your last one,
The lab
technician, both are hourly positions that we would train on the job training.
Mhm.
The other ones, metallurgists, engineers, IT administrators, most of those folks come.
More
with
the
some
technical.
background. But then, of course, there is some on the job, but whatever else.
So
And
there's
as-
options for everybody.
Right, and as we grow, and that's why we put up our contractors too, so as we grow and become more of a complete site that we're in production, we're gonna have our own haul truck drivers, so that's gonna grow too, and that's more of entry level and train them on the job. So if people like to drive big vehicles with big tires. You know, our contractors right now would be the best route, but we will eventually be doing it on our own, so.
Thank you.
One of the nice things is obviously during COVID, we all learned about no menus at restaurants and we all learned how to scan QR codes. So if you want to pick one of these up and have it in your refrigerator, it also has QR codes that somebody can just scan with a phone and takes you straight to where the job openings are. And so they're very, very handy. Let's see, where were we? Okay. One of the benefits of sometimes getting with these contractors on is that you already started your training program for when we get going. It's kind of going to push you to the front of the line. The other thing is once we start running the mine, remember it's not only a mine, it's a business. So like anything, like any business, we have everything from housekeeping to accounts payable, receivables, secretarial work that does document filing. We have environmental technicians. The job description, the job positions are very, very varied. And a lot of times people think there's no interest, but you start looking at it. If you go online to this website on top and you register, which is the same one that this will take you, you don't even have to be looking for a job. You can just register and say, any job comes up, let me know. And you'll get the emails. This opened up, that opened up. Right now, we're not doing incredibly big numbers of hiring, but wait till we start going and we're gonna be knocking on doors. We'll be asking you to be able to use this facility for job fairs and career fairs and interviews and so on as we get closer to that. Last but not least, just a quick development that some of you have asked about. We did finally acquire and close on the Coyote mine. Our goal with the Coyote mine right now is to have it as somewhat of a staging facility, to have a warehouse for some of the parts that come in. As I don't know if you know this or not, but UPS, FedEx, and all those delivery vehicles will not drive 18 miles in to drop a box and then drive out. And so we need a staging area, and that's what we intend to use that for. Also, we would like to have a better area or another area where we can have our employees bring their cars, those that carpool, and jump in the vans, and then in vans take them into the site. And so as that begins to mature on goals and what are some of the things we can use it for, I'll be bringing you up to date on that. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions that we may have not addressed. Definitely have the team here that can help me stay out of trouble with anything you have.
As always, you guys have been very informative. I'd like to open up to the board for questions.
Yes, thank you for the great presentation. The phase two, when, you have a time frame yet for that, or?
So the phase two is not driven as much on our side as it is as much by permitting requirements. And so BLM is right now reviewing our application to get into that phase two. As they go through it, there will be public scoping, hearings, and so on. Once they authorize the project to go fully forward, do you remember what the build-out is of phase two once we get the green light? Is it 18 months? Yeah, it's 18 to 24 months from when we get the race flag from BLM. And that's in essence what it is. It's a race, because that's one of the reasons why we bring in contractors. They'll have 500 people working there around the clock, welding and piping and everything that needs to be done to get that going.
So an estimated timeline? I mean, do you guys have to know?
Estimated timeline, I have to defer, once BLM gives us a green light, it would be roughly 18 to 24 months to build a facility, and then it would be a hiring and training area.
But for BLM to give green light?
That answer can be given by BLM.
I mean, if you guys generally know when you go into a project, does it take an average of 1 year or 15 years?
Correct, and so up to, I would say, maybe pre-COVID, okay, BLM was very, very predictable. A lot of government agencies were very, very predictable, not to single BLM out, but a lot of government agencies, you knew that this was the average. when BLM hit, like many different industries, they had people that began to retire, they had new people that began to move up, they couldn't hire fast enough. And so right now they are having some staffing issues, and some of the permitting is a little bit slower than what we were used to, right? But we understand why. And so I would like to be a selfish kid and say I want it and I want it now. But the reality is that it's on their timeline, and there is some public hearings and noticing and days that have to go through and so on from when they have it, that we don't drive that. Additionally, and I don't know how this will be affected, yesterday President Bush signed, boy, I just timed myself, huh? Let's go back to Reagan, no. The president signed a new 189-page mining reform act, okay? And I can forward it to Mark so that Mark can forward it to all of you. That way I don't do a violation of a conflict of interest. The number, it's a public document, but it just got signed yesterday. And they promise in that document that it will streamline, speed things up, make it easier. It also now includes lithium, and it includes all these rare earths that are in there. It just came out yesterday, so I just read the introduction, and that'll be for my insomnia nights.
So at least a couple of years before you even begin phase two.
I hate to get into a number that I'm not calling the shots
But see,
on.
it gives enough time for planning, for housing and things like that. That's gonna be one of the limitations.
That is correct, and hopefully, the Coyote mine will help us not be a limitation for housing.
Okay.
All that is within the 100 things that we would like to do, within that property. In talking to Patricia, we're looking at, how could we, or how will we have an HR office there? Not only for those that wanna apply, but for our employees. Remember that I mentioned that would be a changing of a shift, where people come in vehicles, get in vans, and those getting off go home. And so that's also when people are saying, no, I need an insurance form, I need this. So we would need some administrative office staff there. And so, but that still is too new to be developed. We've got 100 ideas bouncing around, but what will be the final outcome? You will find out, because we'll eventually be coming to you for zoning and so on.
Anything else from the board? Go ahead and open it up to the public. Anybody got anything for Louise with Equinox Gold? No? Okay, nothing from us.
Are we protecting groundwater?
I'd be happy to send you a link that covers the video on how we protect groundwater, but in essence, our facilities where we use the chemicals have a liner that completely separates it from the process ore and the chemicals that we use. Not only that, we have a very strong and robust detection system that detects anything that might be under. It is specially engineered, double lined. I have a 4-minute video so that I had to toy today whether we would show it or not. But I'll tell you what, I will forward that link to Mark as well. And so it does a very thorough explanation with some side views of how it is built and how it is protected. Okay.
Anybody else out there from the public? All right, before we move on, I got one more from the board.
I had a question, and so you're listed in Ivanpah. What is the closest town to you, and you can access off the California off of the 15, or no?
I should know that because I have read it. No, I have read it. I do not know that answer. You will not catch me again without knowing it. Because we also, since we are in California, our impact fees go to a school in California, right? I would love to be able to at least share partially here, but because we are in a different state, that state says this area goes to that school, and I should know the name of the town that it's in, but I don't. No.
see, Baker is.
Baker,
Okay.
Baker, correct.
And so,
That's what I said.
can you access off of the I-15 then to get into the into the mine itself?
Oh, no,
No,
no.
Nipton would be your closest.
Yeah, you have to come in
It's the
from
only way.
Nipton.
Yes.
So Baker has to come around through Nipton and then in,
Correct.
okay.
The only way in is gonna have to be in through 164.
Yeah, through the, well,
Directly to preserve.
and the reason I'm asking is because, I understand it was a heart attack or some, I don't remember what it was, somebody had out there, and it was one of your contractors, and they did not, somehow they got patched into Baker, and they had to wait for the ambulance or whatever, that's it. So, I just think for emergency response, and safety out there, that like the information that you pass down to your contractors as well, because I understand that you guys have the plan that it would come through, you know, 911 dispatch in Vegas, which would dispatch us as we're closest.
So-
We're in the process of securing mutual aid radio. So we'll have trained personnel on site that will have the authorization to have a mutual aid radio, that will have that license, so then we'll be able to talk to you.
Okay.
Not only today, not only that, but today I had the proud moment of witnessing our new safety manager ink his contract. That is the kind of stuff that he will tackle. And I'm sure, I have a suspicion that this evening he'll be hearing that question.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's good, well, because we're concerned about the safety, obviously, of your, you know, of your group, because you are part of the community, and we're grateful for the help that you have given to, you know, to, the SBO, and also I know that you do contribute to other, fundraising events here, so we are grateful, and we wanna be able to help, you know, and don't want anyone getting hurt, obviously,
And that
having to
would
wait
be-
2 hours
that
for
would be-
Baker to come around, so.
And that'll be mutual, same thing.
And that's, well, I think one of the things that would be the bigger concern is just like with safety, as you guys grow into, and you have all of those contractors out there, it's gonna be a concern.
So we do have my rescue team on site, right, so we have, back to your training, right, we do train our folks, and do support them to go out and get their EMT, et cetera, other sort of training, and so that is important to us as well, right, we need to have our folks on site to be able to respond, when something does happen, and so that we can make sure we have all the right folks, so ambulance on site, et cetera, we're fairly well.
So, for example, at some of our other mines that are already operating, depending on the size, we can have anywhere between 4 to 8 first responders that are advanced life support capable. And they're working throughout the mine, so when the call comes in, you know, they come from different points and they can be there real quick. At Mesquite, because we're already going full-time there, we have our own mine emergency vehicle. We can't call it an ambulance legally unless we get the, you know, highway credentials and all that. But we are also able to support by transporting somebody out to meet the first responder. And then, of course, we will have our own helipads as well for the aircraft.
Of course, that's good.
Will anyone from the mine be attending the Searchlight community response CERT class taking place here, I believe? Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, the 16th and 17th? Here at the center?
I don't remember exactly, but I could forward
I'll ask you the question on the
Yeah.
email.
yeah, we can get you the flyer for that. There might be some in the back, I don't remember that too.
So it's just to be part of the Searchlight community response team. So if, you know, something emergency-wise would happen in the future, I mean, I guess you can opt in or out of being on the list for being
We'll
contact.
be on the list, I'll tell you that right now.
That's awesome.
That's an option.
So I'll give the board another opportunity to speak. Okay. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, everyone else, for attending and giving such a great presentation.
Thank you very much. I will be around afterwards to answer questions as usual. I am going to ask that we excuse them.
Sure.
They're on overtime and they're costing another night. As I told you, for example, HR, they are normally out there at shift change in the early morning answering questions for the employees. So they still have to go home and be back by 5, 6 in the morning. So I need them out of here so that they can be safe.
Absolutely. You guys have a safe trip.
You're welcome, thank you.
All right, so item number 8, receive a report from Kathy Flanagan with Las Vegas Valley Water District regarding the status of the water system. I don't think we have anyone here tonight. Kayla has volunteered very enthusiastically to read the report.
I don't have anything from Vegas Valley, I just have questions.
Sounds good.
No.
No, thank you.
Yeah, those are my three reports back.
Okay, well, there may be a report in the back there, but we're gonna go ahead and move on. So item number 9, receive a report from Will Smith with Clark County Water Reclamation District regarding the status of the wastewater system and water usage. I think Kayla has that one.
So for August 2023, we treated an average of 42,000 gallons per day. August 2022 had an average of 45,000 gallons per day. So we had a difference decreased by 3,000 gallons per day from last year at this time. No sewer service complaints for the month of August, and 2 call before you dig tickets for August. And on the back, there is an influent flow chart.
Thank you, Kayla. Moving on to item number 10, receive a report from Parks and Recreation regarding the status of programs and upcoming activities.
Elon Bilbright, Clark County Parks and Recreation. For Searchlight, we had 5 programs and 94 visits. For Cal Navari, 4 programs and 39 visits. And unfortunately, as you can see, RPM is not here with the new splash pad renderings. They were not ready yet, so they will be here on October 11th for the next town board meeting. And that's all I have.
Yeah, anybody from the board? Questions for Parks and Recreation?
Still haven't found a replacement?
I did do interviews last week. I don't know yet, honestly. I might have to redo interviews again. They did open up a new recreation specialist position for Vegas. They're filling, I want to say like 6 spots. So there's a chance that I might have to interview from that pool, but as soon as I know, I'll let you guys know.
Sounds good.
We're grateful you're still coming out.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Always good to have you. I'd like to open up questions to the public. Anything for anyone? All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Ayla.
you.
Item 11, receive a report from Tyler Young with Searchlight Library regarding current and upcoming programs.
Tyler Young, Searchlight Library. For this month, we have kids painting happening on Saturday. That's 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. We have sewing club this Tuesday the 19th at 11 a.m. We have a new program, Velvet Art Mandalas. It's just kind of painting, kind of meditative. That's going to happen on the 21st at 12 p.m. Then we have the Artisans Club, which is just our painting class renamed. That's happening on Thursday the 28th, 11:30. Then the library does have a National Latino Heritage Month support initiative. That's our book club. We are reading Mexican Gothic. It's available in the library. That's going to be held on the 29th for a discussion at 2 p.m. Then for National Library Sign-Up Month, which is September as well, we have a movie matinee happening on the 30th called The Public, which is a movie that really shows the daily life of library staff handling the unhoused and how we help with them. Searchlight Library will also be at the National Night Out event. We were contacted. We'll have a table, we'll have some goodies, we'll have our laptop ready to sign anybody up for a library card. And then the biggest news that we have here for the community center, Searchlight Library has partnered up with Project Maryland. If anybody's been in the female bathrooms today, you'll see these signs in the stalls. They are a project that hands out free feminine products such as maxi pads, tampons, panty liners, and that's something we've partnered up with them to give out to the public for free. All you have to do is come into the library, say Maryland's left a package for you, black or pink, and we'll give you something, no questions asked. Any questions?
Anything from the board?
You mentioned the sewing club, is that you?
No, we've had the sewing club since I've started, so it's been about a year, should have been longer at this point. We partnered up with Parks and Rec, so we get to use this space here, we bring out the sewing machines, and they just kind of have a pattern to go over. Currently, we've had about 3 people coming steadily to the sewing club, which is nice.
And you provide sewing machines?
Yeah, we provide the machines, the product, the design, the fabric, the quilts. It all comes from us, yeah.
When do you do that? sounds fun.
That's the second Tuesday of every month.
Second Tuesday. And you have your calendar?
Yeah, we have a calendar in the back.
Okay.
If they run out, come over to the library. I have plenty of calendars for everybody, along with flyers for all of the programs we have.
Super. Thank you.
Anything else from the board? Okay. Go ahead and open it up to the public. Anything for Tyler with the Searchlight Library? All right, thank you very much, Tyler. Item number 12, receive a report from Kyle Myers regarding current road conditions and public works concerns. I have been told there's a few streetlights that are out, so I'm gonna be trying to, in the next week, drive around and find out which ones they all are, so we can get them fixed. Besides that, I don't have anything to report, but always open to concerns or requests. Anything from the board?
As I was driving here, I saw a lot of road, like rocks and mud and debris, like even just pulling into the library, and it was actually by the fire department, everything. Is that, do we have street cleaners?
We do. They were actually out pretty quick after the last, I don't want to say storm, but like hurricane, I guess. But so they were out. You know, I always see them driving around, right, and they have a really good response time. They're usually within a couple of days after we get some good rains like that. I did notice this last go around though that they had neglected a couple spots. Maybe they got a little busy somewhere else and had to come back. I know there was rain more than just Searchlight recently, but I can reach out to see if they can come out and finish the job. Of course. Anything from the public works related?
Judy Bundorf, Grandpa's Road. It's time to request our annual grading of Grandpa's
How
Road.
do I know you were going to say that?
You know, we had very little rain out there, but it's just very, very washboardy. So it's gonna be the grader and the water truck again required. And I'm thinking maybe the monsoon season's over. I was holding off until,
I know last year I had a little bit of complication and Tammy assisted on that, which I was appreciative of. Did you just want to go ahead and reach out this time, Tammy? Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Is there anybody else out there? Public Works concerns? Thank you. Moving on to our last informational item, number 13, announcements of upcoming neighborhood meetings and county or community meetings and events. I think most of the events coming up have kind of already been announced today, but if anybody from the board has something else? Anything out there from the public? Thank you. And moving on to planning and zoning, we have none. General business, one item, review and finalize the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget requests. So we weren't weren't able to get them changed to the format this time, but we will be vigilant on doing it for the future. Yeah, everyone needs to be participating in that in a timely manner so we can move forward. This is something that kind of needs to be done at a certain time of year. But that's okay. We have our list here for the budget requests. It's looking like everyone that was here last time didn't really have any input, but with our budget requests, it's mostly a wish list for the county for certain projects we'd like to see done. But I'll name them off for folks that weren't here last month in order from top priority to least on our budget request. So we have pave around Searchlight Park, demolish the teen center, a pathway from the elementary school to the Rexbell walking trail, community center new sound system, update Searchlight community sign, Rexbell picnic area and playground, pedestrian crossing on Collinwood Cove, Rexbell horseshoe pits, Rexbell bathrooms and storage, Rexbell bike racks, Rexbell botanical garden walk, footbridge, and gas line road relocation and parking lot. Just for some insight, I did review the Rexbell master plan. So two of these items that we do have on the budget requests literally couldn't happen until the gas line road relocation and parking lot happened. Yeah, so I mean the footbridge, if you look at the master plan, that portion of the walking trail does not exist at this point. So we couldn't just put a footbridge up over, some random desert. And same thing with the botanical garden walk. That section of trail does not exist at this time. So I would advise that we if possible, we could remove those two.
So you're removing
The footbridge and the garden walk at this time, yeah.
Or put them underneath.
Or
Not
move
gonna
them,
happen anyway.
I mean, because it's literally impossible. I mean, we don't have the trail to do those on. And the amount of trail that would need to be constructed for us to do that would probably make them not want to do it, so.
Never say never.
So, excuse me. So Tammy, in your opinion, would it be more efficient to just take them off or just move them to the bottom?
Is this something you don't think is gonna be, suitable for several years? I would do that.
Just remove them and,
Yes, sir.
okay, and then we wouldn't have to redo the list.
Right, because everyone got different votes, so we don't want to have to recalculate.
So, yeah, so I'll update this, and I would like to have you, or, vote on those two.
Okay, so I'm not gonna make a motion to remove them. So we can go ahead and just finalize this. That's my opinion. Please, other board members, chime in on yours.
With those two items you
Yes, I in my opinion, if we have to, would we have to do another vote right now? Or would it be, and we're pushing the request out another month?
You're gonna, approve the list with those two items you reviewed.
Okay, so we wouldn't have to re-vote.
No, we'll end this tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just take those out and then move the last one.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, that's my piece on the budget request. By all means, if any other board member would like to say something.
I just, I'd like to see if the community input is okay with this, or if anybody has any other serious input before we make a vote.
Sure, yeah. Go ahead and open up the discussion if you guys are good. Okay, so if anyone would like to speak on the capital budget request, please step up to the speaker's podium and let us have it.
Honestly, we got nothing done last year, apparently. There's nothing done on our budget this last year, right? From what I understand, it's the same as. So we're gonna push hard this year. We have a new group here. Cause what's super important to us is to make the safety around the park. We're all on the same page with that. And the teen center, if it's not usable, let's tear it down so that we can have some land that we could get a grant for at some point to build something.
Absolutely.
So if we could get 2 of those items, I think we would all be very thrilled.
100%, I'm with that 100%.
So we appreciate any input you guys had, if you see that we should go in a different direction, we're here for all of you.
So speak now, please. Okay.
I do think the one thing might have been the splash pad that was removed, because
It doesn't,
like that was,
It's in the process.
that was what was completed, so.
So sort of, kind of one, we're working on it.
One win.
We're getting there.
One win,
Yeah.
we would like 2 win.
Absolutely.
Maybe the sound system.
And then I think Pachi, or
$1,000.
Pachi,
The budget report was reworked, and that's been.
yeah. Two small ones.
Well, you
The
know,
budget
it was a Clark County request. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I would like to speak as a SBO member that the county actually did help out a lot with that. So I'd like to thank them for their assistance with the construction of that.
I apologize, but take it back to the 2 out there last year, we're gonna hit 2 this year.
Yep, let's keep it at 2. Let's do
Or
it.
3,
Let's do it.
sound system.
Or more, 2 or more. So, again, last opportunity for the board also to speak before we vote. Everyone's on the same page, okay. So I'd go ahead and make a motion to finalize the fiscal year 23-24 budget requests, as is with the removal of the Rex Bell Botanical Garden Walk and footbridge.
Second that motion.
Okay, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passed. Right, so now moving on to comments by the general public. A period devoted to comments by the general public about matters relevant to the board's jurisdiction will be held. No discussion, action, or vote may be taken on this agenda item. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Please step up to the speaker's podium if applicable. Clearly state your name and address, and please spell your last name for the record. If any member of the board wishes to extend the length of a presentation, this will be done by the chairperson or the board by majority vote. So you get one more chance.
Judy Benworth, Grandpa's Road. Actually, I guess this should have been under announcements. Friends of Walking Box Ranch is being morphed into Friends of Aviqua Bay. We were a 501c3, we'll still be a 501c3, and there's an awful lot of paperwork to go through to get that done at every level of government. And thank God Natalie Jeter's helping out with that, and we also have Ron Safran, who's on the board, and he is an attorney, retired attorney. And that's what it takes, a CPA and an attorney to wade through all of this. We had talked about possibly having a landscape cleanup day on October 7th, but our entire board, I think, is gonna be out at Spring Mountain Ranch for Wild and Scenic Film Festival, at which time we'll be tabling out there for Friends of Aviquame and Friends of Sloan Canyon. Tentatively, we will have a landscape cleanup day on November 4th, which is the first Saturday in November. And that's really the only news I have at this time.
So you guys are doing a separate cleanup than what's going
At
on?
Walking Box Ranch, we coordinate with BLM and our board members and volunteers. The sun comes out and we pull weeds and rake and
It sounds like that's what BLM's doing on September 23rd at Walking Box as well.
well, it's more of a, are you doing a landscape cleanup on that?
It will include landscaping and the general, there's a lot of landscaping.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's plenty of work.
Never ending.
Yeah, we could be out there every Saturday probably.
Um,
Thank you.
So Judy, do you want to clarify that, because that's what, the Walking Box Ranch went into the Aviquame, and I think it's important for the community to understand that it was,
Yes, it is, the ranch buildings, and then there's 40 acres with a conservation easement for, Oh, God, Nature Conservancy has a conservation easement on 40 acres of the land around there. But of course, it was, the buildings and the immediate area was BLM before, and it's still BLM. So it's,
You still are friends of the walking box and still, that's. a
well,
focus.
except now it's, we have a bigger pie. Friends of Equa may, but we will be involved at Walking Box also.
Okay, and one thing to point out is that I believe they have a seat at the table. They'll like the seat at the table and with the very specific, advisory committee, that thing. So you guys have already been
We're-
essentially,
Yeah, we're separate from the advisory board.
that they'll get one, they're gonna have an appointment essentially to encompass that, so that's a good thing for that, so I'm happy to hear that, I just think it's important to show the community.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the co-management.
Thank you, Judy. Is there anybody else out there, public comment? Chance, forever hold your peace. All right, so our next meeting is October 11th, 2023, and I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye, meeting adjourned. Thanks for coming, everybody.